Last year, I read 27 books on my Kindle, and I barely spent anything. When I did this calculation, it actually worked out that I'd spent just over $2 per book on average, which feels incredible for the value that I got from each of those books. A few years ago, I actually thought that reading on Kindle could be quite expensive, especially if you compared new release eBooks to their physical editions. But then I learned a few strategies for reading for less on your Kindle. And in this video, I'm going to share exactly what those strategies are so that you can also read for less. But at the end of the video, I will also share some times when the Kindle can be more expensive to read. So let's dive in. First, let's talk about the baseline. Ebooks versus physical books bought through Amazon. Because not all ebooks are actually cheaper, but when they are, the savings can be significant. So let's take a look at a few examples on the Amazon website. Here's the first Housemaid book, which I talked about in my last video. The physical copy is $10.78, the Kindle version is $6.99. That's more than $5 saved. Here's 1984 by George Orwell, which I've just finished reading. The physical copy is $8.91, the Kindle is free, so that's nearly $9 saved on just one book. And finally, here's Elon Musk by Walter Isaacson. The physical copy is $18.95, Kindle is $9.44, so another $9.50 that we could potentially save. On average, I find that Kindle books save me around 30 to 50% compared to physical copies. Not always, but enough that it makes a significant difference over time. And here's something that people don't always think about: the hidden cost of physical books. Storage space, because bookshelves cost money, and if you're reading a lot, you need somewhere to put them all. Secondly, shipping costs. If you're buying online, you're often paying for delivery, unless you hit a minimum spend. And portability, if you're going on holiday and want to read, say, 3 books, you're carrying that weight. With Kindle, it's all just in one device. Now, I'm definitely not saying never read a physical book again. I still do, and I actually love that feeling of a full bookshelf in my house. But what I am saying is that there's definite savings to be made by choosing when to pick an ebook over a physical book. That said, physical books can be cheaper in specific situations. Charity shops, secondhand bookshops, or library sales. If you're willing to go looking, you can find some incredible bargains. But I would say if you're looking for a book right now or for a specific situation, then ebooks will typically win out on price. All right, number 2, and this is Kindle Daily Deals, which is my favorite because not only does it save me money, but it's also been a way that I've found new authors. Every single day, Amazon offers a selection of Kindle books on discounted prices. This starts in the UK from 99p, and in the US, it's from $1.99. The books change daily, so you never know what's going to be on offer. To find them, you just go to Amazon, navigate to the Kindle store, and look for Kindle Deals. It's usually near the top of the page. Within this, Amazon also runs some of these deals for longer periods, so you might get the same selection of books that stay on offer for a month, so you've got more time to make a decision. But what's so brilliant about this is that every day you have an opportunity to pick out a book that may interest you for 99p or $1.99. Now, these might not be books that always grab your attention, but when they do, they're definitely worth picking up. The deals here are so good that a couple of years ago, I actually decided to make this part of my daily routine. So each morning with a coffee, I spend a minute or two just looking through the daily deals. And I ask myself 2 questions. Firstly, is this a genre I'm interested in? And then second, and this one's much more simple, is this a book that I would genuinely read? If the answer to both of those questions is yes, then I buy the book. Because here's something that is worth remembering. Just because a book is extremely cheap and on a good deal, if you're not going to read it, all it will do is clog up your digital library. But when you do find a book you love through daily deals, it is amazing. I discovered Johan Hari through a daily deal on his book Stolen Focus. I paid 99p for that book, and now I would happily buy other books at full price by that same author. And that's the beauty of daily deals. It's a low-risk way of being able to discover new series and new authors. Now, some people might say, aren't you just shorting the authors by only buying their books on discount? And I get that concern, but here's the reality. Authors and publishers choose to put books on daily deals. It's part of a marketing strategy. They're using the deal to introduce new readers to their work, hoping you'll buy their other books at full price. And it's worked on me. Just like with Johann Hari, Daily Deals has introduced me to new authors that I hadn't read before. And once I know that I enjoy their work, I'm much more likely to pick up their book at full price in the future. And that's why I think that we should view Daily Deals as not the end of a relationship, but the potential start of a new relationship. A few quick tips. Don't hoard books. Only buy what you think you'll actually read in the next month or two. Read the description and check the reviews before you buy. Just because a book is 99p doesn't mean that it will be right for you. And then finally, don't worry if you miss a deal, because they often circulate back around. This actually happened to me with Red Rising. The first time it came on deal, I decided it wasn't going to be a book I'd read in the next few months, so I chose not to buy it. But then, just as I felt ready to pick it up, it came back on a deal, so I'm looking forward to starting that series and hopefully introducing me to a new series and author which people rate really highly. Number 3, Prime Reading. Now this comes with your Amazon Prime membership, but I've always seen this subscription as being mainly for the delivery service and for the video content that you get. The reading has always felt like a free bonus to me. To access it, you go to Amazon, the book section, memberships, and you should have Prime Reading. The selection isn't huge compared to Kindle Unlimited, but it is an extra perk for Prime members. So if you're already paying for delivery and for video content, then you're getting books on top of that subscription. There's also a section called Amazon Classics, which is available for Prime members free of charge. These are classic books. Think Orwell, Austen, Dickens, formatted for Kindle. I've read 1984 and Animal Farm through Amazon Classics, and they were both free as part of my Prime membership. 0 additional cost, good formatting, and no ads. So, if you're a Prime member and you're not using Prime Reading, you're leaving books on the table. Also, it's always worth checking the Prime catalogue before buying any new book. But that brings me to the downside of this service. Unfortunately, Prime Reading doesn't have the biggest catalogue of books in the world, and you won't typically find lots of bestsellers available to you. But for casual reading, and especially for reading classics for free, it's a great add-on for Prime members to access. Number 4, online libraries. And this is where you can read completely for free. I recently started using Open Library. So that's openlibrary.org. This is a massive digital library with millions of books, and it's all free. You create a free account, borrow a book, download it, and then you can send the file to your device using the Send to Kindle feature. One note here is that many of these are images of the pages, so you can't actually highlight. I've also found the documents can be too big for my Kindle devices to handle, so I typically read them on my iPad. It's the sacrifice you have to consider whether you want to make to access books for free in this way. For the occasional free book, I can deal with this. There are also library apps like Libby, which connect to your local library and let you borrow eBooks directly. Here's the thing, as much as I would love to show you my experience using Libby, unfortunately it's not yet available in my area. But I know that this app is growing in the US and in areas of the UK. So hopefully, once it's expanded to my area of the UK, I'll be able to use it and give a better demo of how I get on with it. But if you are lucky enough to have access to Libby, it's another library route which allows you to borrow books for free. For me, I'm using Open Library while I wait for Libby to expand to my area. And honestly, with Open Library, Daily Deals, and Prime Reading, I have more cheap and free books than I can keep up with anyway. Alright, so I've shown you 4 ways that you can save money on Kindle, but it's time to look at those times when the Kindle isn't always cheaper, and there are some genuine downsides you should know about. First, the upfront cost of the device. If you're matching my setup, which is linked in the description, at their standard pricing, a Kindle Paperwhite is around £160 to £170 or $160 to $180. If you're going for the Scribe, you're looking at £380 or $450 at their standard pricing. These prices are an upfront barrier that you don't have to consider when you're buying a physical book. But here's how I like to look at it. If you chose to buy the Kindle Paperwhite and then you read 20 books per year, and from that you manage to save $5 on average by buying eBooks rather than a physical copy, over a year you'll have saved $100. Now from that, if you can continue that same reading trajectory, over 18 months, you'll have broken even on your Kindle Paperwhite. After that point, everything would be pure saving compared to buying a physical book. And that's just purely on the maths of buying a Kindle Paperwhite. So we're not even considering the added benefits like the lighting display, which helps you to read in any light setting, or how great they are for travel, because you don't have to lug so many books along with you. Second, new releases. When a big book launches, the Kindle version is often only £1 or £2 cheaper than the physical copy. On some occasions, I've actually seen a newly released physical copy be cheaper than the Kindle version. For example, this latest release from Oprah Winfrey and Anya Yastrzebow, Enough, just came out. The physical copy is $20.98, but the Kindle is $19.93. That's only a $1 saving. So, if you mostly read brand new releases, the savings are much smaller. But it's worth noting that if you wait a few months because you're not desperate to read that book, then it might just come on a daily deal, so keep your eyes peeled because you just never know what may show up. Third, and this is a biggie for some, ownership. If you buy a physical book, it's yours forever. But with Kindle, if you buy your books through Amazon, you're licensing access to a title. That means that if Amazon removes a book from its store, then you would also lose it from your library. Now, this rarely happens, and in honesty, I've never had it in all my years reading on Kindle. But it is a risk that's worth knowing when you're buying ebooks through Amazon for your Kindle. Fourth, you can't resell your Kindle books. With physical copies, you can sell, donate, or even loan or gift to friends. But with your Kindle books, once you've read them, they just sit there in your library. And sometimes that feels like a real shame. And finally, your Kindle library can get messy. When books are cheap or free, it's easy to buy more than you'll ever read. I'm definitely guilty of this. I've got dozens of books in my library that I bought on sale and I still haven't opened. That means that even though you might be saving money, you could be accumulating digital clutter. The solution? Just try to be more selective when you're buying new books. So, is Kindle always cheaper? No. There are upfront costs, limitations, and trade-offs. But if you read regularly, access daily deals, Prime reading, and online libraries, then you can save a lot of money on your reading. For me, it's definitely been worth it, but it depends how much you read and what you value. So let's recap. Here are the 4 ways I read for less on Kindle. 1. Compare ebook versus physical prices before you buy. Ebooks are often 30 to 50% cheaper. Check Kindle Daily Deals every day for book deals. Use Prime Reading if you have Amazon Prime. Free books come with your membership. Access online libraries like Open Library or use apps like Libby if they're available in your area. These 4 strategies have saved me so much money over the last few years. And the beauty of it is, I'm actually reading more than ever before. Let me know in the comments, what strategies do you use to save money when you're reading? If you've enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you're looking for more Kindle tips and reading strategies, then subscribe. I make videos just like this one every week. Thank you for watching and happy reading.